firm and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
Order in the court. Be seated.
It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Hi, I'm Shannon Haas, and I'm here with Brandi Jo. Todd isn't here today, but he gave me the advice, just pretend the camera's not there and just pretend like you're talking to me. So I'm feeling that vibe, and I'm trying to have confidence in myself. And
congratulations. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You said that you could start the prayer.
I can. We can share a little gratitude real quick. You want to hold hands?
I would
there
very
you go.
much. Thank
All right.
you.
Dear Heavenly Creator, I want to thank you personally for this privilege to share this time with Shannon and all the viewers and all the listeners that are out there right now. We are in a time of need for your graciousness and for us to give you gratitude. So with that, in your son's name, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. So beautiful. Thank you.
I still don't hear myself.
Yeah, I don't hear myself,
Yeah.
so I'll just go ahead and take these off. It's not.
We'll just look cool.
Yeah, Mark will tell us when the song ends and things like that.
Okay, great.
I need to say the mission because Todd wanted me to say the mission
All right.
statement. Bring you it's not as easy as it
Obviously not.
your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about them on the radio.
Love it.
Did it. Okay. Let's talk about you. I'm so excited.
Well, we haven't known each other very long.
No.
But we have followed each other on Instagram for quite some time.
True. Yes.
And then randomly last week we're in a board meeting together.
Right. One thing I know for sure about you, you have what I would call a magnetic personality.
Thank you.
When you come in a room, people notice, and I think most people would think, wow, I really want to get to know that person
I would hope
better.
So.
Yeah.
I would hope so. I come from love. I come from the heart, and 99% of the people take me that way. So I do appreciate that, Shannon. If you'd like me to just kind of go through my little bio real quick.
Yes, please.
I literally, my job is to help people build lasting wealth. I've been doing it for almost 28 years now. I started off just right off the golf course in Phoenix, Arizona, working for a couple of guys in a securities firm. And then that led me to San Antonio 25 years ago, almost.
Wow.
And went from...
It looked a lot different back then.
Well, yeah. I mean, 1604 in the late 90s, it was still a 2-lane road.
Right.
And now it's just a mess.
You've
I'll
seen
say
a
that.
lot of changes.
Yeah. So in 25 years I've been here, I've built I've actually built 2 practices. I'm building a third, and now I'm just a single individual boutique operation. And what I have experienced throughout my professional life is that many people really don't understand how money works, and that it is a tool, really not a way to keep score. And as we met in that board meeting, we were talking about giving back and supporting our community. And I believe that we should be able to be incentivized to support our charities that we choose directly, and really have that money go directly to the cause and not have to go through any other hands.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I kind of wanted to go back a little
Sure.
farther too, because I wanted to hear all about the golf career,
Okay.
and I find all that very fascinating.
Okay.
But then, I don't want to lose out on the trajectory we were on, where we're talking about right now, everything you're doing with Athene, and I just want to hear everything about that.
Okay. Well, I started playing golf when I was 6. I'll be 52 in 2 weeks, so I've been doing it for 46 years. There's literally never been a week that goes by in my life where I don't either make a putt or swing and hit a golf ball.
Wow.
Yeah. So playing golf growing up, I am an only child, and really golf was the only thing that my parents and I did together. So that's one of the reasons that I consider it so sacred and that I still do it. And it's also a great way to build your business. When I moved here to San Antonio, I went to a gentleman that was the director of golf at Sunterra, and I asked him if I could have a tea time just after the ladies group on Thursday. And on Monday mornings, I would send an email out to the North Chamber of Commerce. Back then, the North Chamber of Commerce was only about 200 to 250 people.
Oh my goodness.
And now, I don't know.
Can you imagine?
Well, I was living it. So I would send that email out 9:00 on Mondays, asking 3 total strangers to play golf with me on Thursday. And that's how I built my business. Going back when I first turned pro in 94, that was literally the year that I left home, flew the coop, got on a plane, and went around the world. And in that time,
and forgive me for not knowing, but where was home?
Kilgore, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And help me. Is that
2 hours east of Dallas off of 20?
Okay.
Yeah.
Big.
Deep, no,
Small.
11,000 people, deep East Texas.
Uh-huh.
Well, I wouldn't say deep. Deep East Texas is like down around Orange and Beaumont and Vidor.
And then you end up traveling the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good time.
And most people from your town probably did not go travel the world. That's so.
Well, it was oil and gas. We were an energy dependent Tri-County area, Tyler, Longview, Kilgore, Henderson. There were pockets of individuals like myself that they could see outside of the county line.
Oh, wow.
And quite frankly, some of my high school mates that they've gone off to do some incredible things.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So then where are we at? We're 90s.
Yeah, late 90s. I decided to move to Scottsdale, where professional golfers were a dime a dozen, and I got recruited right off the golf course to basically play golf with wealthy clients and then get them to refer my team. And basically I was the bring them to the table girl.
Wow.
And so from October until April, I was playing golf with wealthy clients. And then from April to October, I was going around the world a couple of times. And then from October to April, I was playing golf with people in Scottsdale and Phoenix.
Wow.
So my little tagline, I say I have a PhD in culture and people, because
yes,
I've seen so much.
That's a good tagline. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. And, America is the greatest country on the planet.
Yeah.
Period. End of story.
Agreed. Yeah.
Some of the ways of the world in other places of the world, we couldn't be sitting here doing this.
Right. We couldn't have prayed right now.
No.
On air.
No.
Yeah.
No. So
I am very grateful.
Yeah. And so I try to remind people when they're kind of, being whiny about what they're either believe they deserve or what they're not being given freely. So I remind them that, this country is all about hard work, and you get what you work for. You don't get what you hope for.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
We're winding up a little bit.
Yeah.
But what else can we say about your bio?
Well,
but we can talk more
in this past year, I started a women's organization called Athene. And Athene, if anyone knows about Greek mythology, Athene is the goddess of wisdom. She travels around with an owl on her shoulder that speaks the truth to her. So if you look at our logo, has a shield and a helmet and a spear, and an owl, which the owl, the genus is Athene owl. So I've started that women's organization to basically fill in the gaps for, frankly, my business and also making an impact in my community. A couple of years ago, I wanted to call it Badass Academy, but I didn't
You focus grouped it and it didn't.
Well,
fly.
no, I and that's why I like to mention it. We, that can come off as a different connotation to some people. So I named it a theme.
Oh, I think that's very sensitive of
Yeah.
you. Good job. So we'll come back in the next section and we'll talk more about that. And
Yeah.
we're supposed to talk also about hidden legal blind spots.
Okay.
So we'll be asking how you create a financial plan for
Sure.
someone versus, someone who's starting their career versus someone who's nearing retirement. And you were telling me a little bit about that before we were on air, and I was just hanging on your every word.
Okay.
So I'm very, very excited to hear more about that. And we're talking about whether or not everything was volatile right now.
Yeah.
So some current events, and we'll get to that in our next segment.
Do New Year's resolutions scare you, upset you, make your eyes roll? We've all known someone who's tried and failed to keep their resolutions. But what if your resolution could bring peace of mind to you and your loved ones? Resolve to get your affairs in order. Last will, living trust, tax-protected inheritance plan, a gift to your loved ones, and a lasting legacy. Call Marquardt Law Firm today at 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Or visit marquardtlawfirm.com.
9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Okay.
Hey, we're back. So let's talk about that question that you were answering before. How do you help someone plan for retirement?
Oh, yeah. That was a great question.
And there's,
Yeah. So
that made me so happy because we're going to run out of time, I know, but you're also a very experienced podcaster.
yeah.
And so when you said my question was decent, I was so complimented. Thank you.
Well, it hits both ends of the spectrum. Somebody just starting out with, making a good living, they have one of two mindsets in my experience. They either want to blow their money or they want to keep as much of their money that they earn. And I want to work with those people that want to keep as much money that they can by saving and investing wisely with as much money as they earn. What I have found is that if someone has a bad relationship with money, whether it was, watching their parents squander their wealth or squander their earnings or whatever, sometimes that can lead over into the child's adult life. And then that is how they perpetuate that cycle of kind of staying behind the eight ball, or not managing their debt properly, or just not managing their cash flow properly. And
that could get really deep really quick.
well, yeah. And so most of the time when I'm working with somebody, we're really talking about behaviors.
Yeah.
And not, which drawer should this dollar go into?
Right.
And if you've seen any of my videos on YouTube, I do have a philosophy on money. And I try to illustrate that.
I have been consuming your content.
Thank you. Thank you. And
I'm loving it.
Thanks. So I have some videos that illustrate my philosophy, and I also use an economic model. It's a piece of software to where we basically analyze and we place money on this economic model, and we basically test the strategy to see if that makes the client happy with the outcome of where they're putting their money.
Okay.
And
then it takes the pressure off you a little bit. You don't have to be giving them you can just say, look, here are the facts. Here's what, we ran the data.
Right.
Here's where you're headed.
Right. But sometimes, Shannon, some people can't see the forest for the trees. And so they're like, why am I having to pay so much in tax when I do retire? And it's because you haven't paid tax on that money yet. So they're looking at their 401ks and their IRAs and their Roths and all of that. A Roth is tax-free, but they're looking at their IRAs and their 401ks and they're saying, why am I hit with such a huge tax burden during retirement?
Okay.
And it's because you're paying ordinary income tax. You're not paying capital gains, and you're not paying the tax now, and you're probably going to be paying tax rates at some marginal tax level that you don't know what it is.
And people are receptive when you tell them the facts?
They're receptive to the facts that I'm sharing because it's black and white. You really can't argue with facts. And so it gets people to realize that you just need to save more money. And so saving money is not investing. Saving money is saving money. That the dollar that you have today is the dollar that you're going to have tomorrow. And hopefully we can put it in to some instruments and some vehicles that actually help that money grow, guaranteed. The investment side, I believe that you have two sides of your financial life. You have the investment side, which is 100% risk. I don't care what anybody says. Every dollar that goes into the stock market, it is at risk. Now, there's a risk on and there's a risk off cycle in an environment, and we can get into that later. But you have to have a foundation of savings and liquidity and cash flow to make sure that this model and this plan and this entire financial life is going to be is going to be safe when you actually need to use the money.
This is a little bit of a random question, but I'm kind of known for that. Do
Okay.
you do you ever have to fire someone?
Oh yeah, several.
Really?
Yes.
And it would be someone that just wasn't, you have a certain mission statement and they just were not gonna, unrealistic expectations.
So values and principles are important to me. When someone comes to me and we set their financial plan in motion, and we either do it on a monthly, a quarterly, or an annual basis, and then they talk to somebody at work a couple of years later, and it's like, well, this guy's making this amount of money, and it's like, that's him. And this is an actual occurrence that I had with a former client.
I can see how that would happen in today's day and age.
And it's like, let's put it on the model and let's test it.
Right.
And it's how much risk is he having and versus how much risk you are enduring right now. So come to find out, several years later, I got a call from that gentleman and he says, you were right. And I was like, I know.
Right. Yeah.
So I have had to, what we call, draw a line through those people. If they don't really respect their own earnings and they don't really respect what it is that they've set in motion for them and their family.
Yeah. Well, I think that's very self-aware, that you can't work with that person.
Well, yeah, because they're screwing up the work.
Yeah. Good job setting a boundary there. I'm
also very direct, as you've come to find out.
Yes, I would use that word to describe you. Yes, in a very good way. Do you want to talk about the administration change and
I'm quite comfortable talking about that.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, like I said earlier before we went on the air, the first 100 days of anyone's administration, especially when you're changing ideology and parties, it is always chaotic. Red versus blue, left versus right, side versus side. We're in day 33 or day 34 now of President Trump's administration, and he has some very clear objectives that he wants to make sure get done. And all of his executive orders are pretty much right in line with every other administration since Clinton. The amount of executive orders that have come out is not any more than any other president since Clinton. And when we're talking about, the volatility in the market in his first administration from 2016 to 2020, there was the same the same mandate that he wanted to hand down to everyone, that you're not going to do business with China if China is not going to pay us to do business with them. And so we hear all of this tariff talk because the majority of our goods are coming from China. And just like earlier this week, Walmart took a little tank after earnings, because where does most of Walmart's products come from? China. And so when we're dealing with tariffs, the only reason that Walmart's earnings took a hit earlier this week is because they did not provide any positive outlook on their forward guidance. They beat earnings, they beat top and bottom line revenue, but in their earnings call, they actually said the words, "We don't know what is going to happen." Because when it comes down to tariffs, you don't know if the actual tariff is going to be paid, which we all know that tariffs drive
No, I don't think we should presume
Yeah.
that we all know.
No.
I mean, my next question was going to be, can we, as I confessed to you, I have a very limited subject
Mhm.
matter
Mhm.
that I feel really confident about. And tariffs
Hopefully
is
you
certainly
have a financial advisor that you trust.
tariffs is definitely not on the list, you
Mhm.
know, and so I'm reading headlines, words like chaos, volatile.
Well, and that also depends on what you're reading, right?
So talk to me, you know, talk to somebody that doesn't even know what tariff means.
So a tariff is a
Is that,
tax.
can we do that? Is
Yeah.
that
So a tariff is a tax on goods from another country.
okay.
So just like earlier this week, Trump came down, I think it was 20 or 25% tariff on aluminum and steel. Most aluminum and steel is coming from, but that was only for aluminum and steel coming from China, not aluminum and steel coming from Vietnam or wherever the hell else, you know, aluminum or steel comes from. It was only from China.
So you see these headlines and you do not panic.
Well, I don't read a lot of headlines. I have a specific list of newsletters that I do read.
Okay.
And
You want to tell the
well, one of the best ones I actually got from my wife Claudia, called Morning Brew.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
I think I've heard of that.
There's nothing salacious. There's nothing clickbaiting about it. And every morning they send you kind of what's going on and some tidbits as well. Every Friday I send out a Friday 5 points email. That's
cool.
That's just, you know, 5 points that I thought were interesting during the week.
Yeah.
And they are obscure, hidden. Not a lot of not a lot of traffic goes to these these online articles that I share.
Oh, okay.
But that's also the other thing. I mean, there's all of these infotainment platforms out there and news in quotes.
You have to get the
agencies.
views. Yeah.
And that's the reason that they're doing that.
Oh, how interesting. Well, that's so great that you have these sources you trust.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to follow that as well.
Good.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
That was another question. I don't know if we'll have time for it, but that was another question I had. How do you have time to do all this stuff? When I
get up early.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I was looking. So in the past week, this is.
And you were cooking. You were cooking a steak. I saw
that was Friday. That was Valentine's Day night. That was Valentine's dinner.
It looked amazing.
In the last week, from Friday till Thursday at 6 p.m., I tracked every 15 minutes what I was doing.
Wow.
Now, given I was at a golf tournament Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then flew half a day on Wednesday, sat on the tarmac at Love Field for an hour and a half while they de-iced. Now, granted, that every 15 minutes that I was tracking, excuse me, wasn't a lot during that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Did you do that to be more productive?
Yes, I did it to see exactly what I was spending my time on, because if we spend time on things that actually, if we spend time on doing the things that we need to do in order to accomplish the goals that we've set out, then that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, I love it so much.
It's the 80-20 rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it so much. That's not what I do. That's not my experience. I need a good 15 minutes to just stare into space and think about getting my coffee.
But you just need to write that down.
I think we're wrapping up here. But next segment, we're going to talk about the sinners and saints. And I was going to talk about that case, the one Charlie Javis.
Yeah, bless her heart.
Yeah, I know. Bless her heart. That's such a Texan thing of us to say, isn't it?
It's very condescending.
Well, I do feel really bad for her and anyone that she allegedly defrauded. Well, it's not a conviction.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you have to
definitely
allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
She has not been convicted, and you don't have she looks like a lovely woman.
Oh, there we go. Here we go.
But we'll talk about her, and there's unfortunately kind of there's a group of other people that looked really promising, and then turns out they've been accused of fraud.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to ask you if you have any quick tips.
I watched a documentary last night on fraud that was just incredible.
Which one?
What we fall for. I can't remember the name of it. It was Belle Jackson out of Australia.
Have you seen the Anna Delvey one?
Oh, love that one.
I love that one.
That whole thing is just crazy.
Just
it's
that
crazy.
that
it's crazy
one-
what we yearn for. We're looking for hope and we're looking for inspiration. And these people have figured out a way to convince us that that is real. And I'm sorry. Nothing, when it's too good to be, when it sounds too good to be true, it's usually not.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the giveaway of what
Mhm.
your answer is
Mhm.
going to be when we come back on that.
Oh yeah.
So we'll talk about that case, and then I was going to swing it back to you that, what all you're doing in town, doing for everybody, and all the cool stuff about you.
All right. We'll do it.
there at reallife.org. We look forward to seeing you at River City.
How do airplanes fly? What's in this box? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about
TalkLaw Radio with Todd Marquardt is sponsored by the Marquardt Law Firm and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
We are back, and so we're talking with Brandi Jo, and we were going to talk about that case that
So
Harley
this is sinners.
Davis.
This is Sinners and Saints.
It's a segment called
I
Sinner.
like this.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is Todd's baby, and this is the way he does it. So he'll have like kind of a bad story. Here's somebody where it's sad news.
Well, obviously this woman has taken advantage of she took advantage of JP Morgan Chase. I mean, you could pretty much say that she took advantage of the people that Jamie Dimon hired.
Well, her defense attorney says that JP Morgan Chase should have been more diligent in finding out the truth, and that they just have buyer's remorse. That's their perspective.
But everything that she presented to them was it wasn't falsifying facts. I mean, she literally just made it up. She didn't have a real company.
I think the criminal defense attorney in me is going to have to knee-jerk say allegedly like 20 times if we keep talking about this allegedly. There are other cases where they've been convicted, like that woman at Theranos, the one that was talking really, really deep. What is her name? Holmes? I can't remember her name, but
yeah, she's blonde and weird, and
everybody
wears black. Wears black turtlenecks.
Yeah,
like Steve Jobs.
Yeah, everyone knows her now.
Here's the thing, and just like when you send me the link, to the article, I think these people are sociopaths. I do. I think they have a very. I think probably they had an odd upbringing. Parenting probably was an issue. I mean, not that there's a wire loose, but there is something between. They have a disconnect between what is right and wrong.
Okay. And so like a compassion for others is lacking.
Well, yes. And so I just couldn't imagine doing that. I couldn't imagine just laying something out there and saying, hey, I want to sell this idea to you, because she didn't really have anything backing what she was doing. So seriously, she did commit fraud in the fact that she did not have anything real to present to JP Morgan.
Okay.
And they were attempting to underwrite the deal. And so let's just back up. Underwriting a deal. So you and I have this brilliant company that's saving the world of student loan debt.
Okay.
And we actually have a proven concept, and we have people that are saying, hey, I need help. And then we have other people that are coming in and saying, hey, I'll privately support you through a loan. I'll pay off your student loans, and then you'll owe me. So, and again, this has nothing to do with the actual case, but
everything sounds on the up and up.
Everything sounds on the up and up. And then where were JP Morgan Chase's auditors and their accountants and their CPAs to say this is real? Yes. It seems like to me they didn't do their job, but also she was making this stuff up as she went along and making it look like she was actually, a legitimate business.
It sounds familiar because it sounds like the framework of several other cases that have been in the news recently.
Yeah.
Do you have like a quick takeaway or something that not someone like you that's very educated in finances, but just the average person, a quick takeaway to steer clear of people trying to defraud them?
Yeah. Like my goal for 2025 is to open up a 506 fund, and whether it's going to be a B or a C. And so those two letters depend on who can invest in the fund. And I want to make sure that I am totally transparent, and that the private investments that I offer within this fund, that they have been vetted down to the last blade of grass in real estate, the last penny if it's financial, all of this kind of stuff. And I want to make sure that trust can only go so far. But the other thing is that people have a little bit too much faith in their fellow man sometimes these days.
You think so? We see with our eyes, it looks good, like that Theranos woman, she just had this image.
Yeah. None of her stuff worked.
Yeah.
Theranos, that whole deal, none of her stuff worked.
Well, she's quoted as saying failure is not, the fact that something failed is not criminal. they interviewed her recently and she was saying, I did not intend.
But she lied about she lied about the results of that failure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then that would be the crime. Well, I think it's okay to feel compassion for her. I mean, I think she did, she was convicted and I think
she's in prison.
And there's people that were hurt,
Yeah.
so I feel compassion for everybody all the way around on that.
Yeah.
But your takeaway on how to avoid fraud for the common person?
Oh, just make sure that you have whatever offering that you are considering, show it to your CPA. Okay. Show it to a couple of other financial advisors. Make sure that the financials have been audited, because basically when it comes down to it, most of these equity funds, these private investment funds, they're promissory notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our sad, bad story. Let's talk good.
That was our sinner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk more Brandi Jo, because we're not even going to touch the surface of this thing. You do so much.
Okay. Am I the saint?
Yes, you are. I nominate you for the saint. I was gonna just open it up, like who do you think is making a positive impact on our community?
There's so many in San
But
Antonio.
I wanted to give you the option as well. I very well think it could be you.
Well, thank you for that, Shannon. There's so many in San Antonio that are doing good things, and it seems like to me. I mean, we have somebody in common that we know, Debbie Jennings. She sits on the board of the Through Project.
I'm not in charge of these things, but she needs sainthood nomination.
Yeah, she's wrangling. She started her own company with.
When does she sleep as well?
Again, she gets up early. Health literacy company that she has called Doing Well.
Yeah. That annoys me too. Does that annoy you? Every time I have to leave the G off when I'm looking for her.
Yeah, and I see her logo, so it gives me good recall there. She's doing good things. My wife and I are supporters of the Through Project, and we're also supporters of CAM, which is Christian Assistance Ministries.
Can you tell quickly what they do?
So Christian Assistance Ministries was started by 6, 7, 8 churches in the late 70s. Now it's up to 80 plus, maybe pushing up against 100 churches. That it is a crisis emergency room center for people that are in crisis. It is not, in my opinion, it's not considered a homeless shelter because they do not house anyone. And they don't take people off the streets, but they do, like right now, we're sitting here in the top floor of this building,
right,
and it's 34 degrees outside.
Right. It's very cold out there.
They will go and they will pick people up and they will keep them warm.
Oh, right.
Now,
right.
CAM, it is a privately funded, I don't even think they take $1 of public money, taxpayer dollars. They do work along with the city. They do work along with the Bexar County Sheriff's Department and the San Antonio Police Department. When I want to give my money and my support to something like that, I want to make sure that the money that I'm giving goes directly to the people that I literally want to help.
Right.
So actually, where I come from work, I have an office at 410 and 10, and I have an office at United Realty Group at 1604 in Blanco. As I'm coming home, I exit Sunset and I get to the T down there at Sunset.
Right.
And there's usually a person standing there with a pet and their sign that they are hungry and that they are homeless.
Right.
And before I met Dawn White Fostick, who runs CAM, before I would give them money.
Okay. Right.
And now she says, Brandi, there is a process.
Right.
There is a system that these people can get into.
Exactly. Yeah.
But most of the time,
you might actually be. And what's the problem with giving cash?
Well, you're enabling where they are and not being able to have them leverage your giving. And so what Dawn has taught me is that you want them to get into the system and go through the process of getting off of the streets. The other thing that Dawn and Debbie are doing, they put in Compassion Cares, which I think is another initiative that Dawn and Cam came up with, but they are going through the process of getting a medical team to make sure that some of these homeless and unhoused and couch surfers and some of these other people, that they are getting their proper medication.
Beautiful.
And I think that is incredible.
It is so amazing. Yeah. And they are just the real deal. You know, you don't have to worry if there's
so those are my saints with what's making a bigger impact here in San Antonio.
Yeah. I'm a big a proponent of the Through Project too.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing amazing things. Mm-hmm. So we're wrapping up again, and you see what I mean? We haven't even talked about your podcast yet.
Okay.
So the next, we're just barely going to scratch the surface of all these amazing things you're doing. But the next segment is legacy. So we'll pick it up again.
I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do New Year's resolutions scare you, upset you, make your eyes roll? We've all known someone who's tried and failed to keep their resolutions. But what if your resolution could bring peace of mind to you and your loved ones? Resolve to get your affairs in order. Last will, living trust, tax-protected inheritance plan, a gift to your loved ones, and a lasting legacy. Call Marquardt Law Firm today at 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Or visit marquardtlawfirm.com.
9:30 a.m. The Answer.
And we are back with Brandi Jo. I'm so happy to be talking to you. I think I made that abundantly clear, didn't I?
I as well.
You feel it.
I do.
I
feel the love.
You feel the admiration.
I do.
Let's talk legacy in our last segment. And what does it mean to you? What do you think of?
Legacy is a big thing. And that was really one of the reasons that I started a women's organization. It was last winter. So it was December, January, February of 2024.
Did I mention already on air that when I went to your function, unprovoked, there were several people just talking among themselves about how you had pivotally, positively changed their lives. And,
like that.
You hadn't paid them anything or, set this up, but just by chance, they were having little conversations of how crucial you had been in these, very
wonderful.
positive
That's
changes.
Very wonderful to hear. That was actually on Tuesday. You're talking about the luncheon last Tuesday. We have a monthly luncheon with Athene. And it's a panel discussion. Next month, I don't believe we're going to have a luncheon, but we are going to have I believe a brunch. We're going to have something. It's just not going to be a luncheon. And then we're going to transition to a dinner. And then in May, we're having our 1-year anniversary luncheon. The reason that I started Athene is because of two things.
What is it?
So Athene, and the tagline, it's a community of women driven by excellence. I have always had this incredible level and standard of excellence in everything that I do. And sometimes, according to my mother and my wife and my meditation teacher, sometimes I put that expectation on to other people, and I'm learning not to do that. But during January and February of last year in 2024, I was not in a good place. Spiritually, emotionally, I was down. I didn't really, my business was going well, but I needed something more. And so I go and I talk to my pastor, Doug Robbins, down at City Church. I talked to my mother. I talked to my meditation teacher, David G. And what came up through all of these conversations, and they did not know that I was talking to all of them together. They, from what I understood in the feedback from them, they had no idea that I was basically, bringing my front row together to get out of this funk. And the overriding theme of these conversations was legacy. It's like, Brandi Jo, you're about to turn 51. You just turned 50. You can either have an existential crisis about the rest of your days, or you can set something in motion that establishes why you do what you do and the way that you do it. And there is the term legacy. And being in the financial planning business, I don't consider legacy to be anything that somebody is going to leave behind monetarily.
Okay, how interesting.
So there's two examples. Well, there's one big example. Warren Buffett, and you watch the headlines and some of the clickbait headlines that they have. Warren Buffett disinherits his family. That is not entirely true. He has given the bulk of his wealth, I believe, to the Gates Foundation. But there is a significant amount of tax-free dollars that are going to flow to his heirs and his other organizations that he cares about through permanent dividend-paying life insurance. I want the last check that somebody writes for my funeral. Hopefully I go before Claudia does, that I want that check to bounce. I want to die broke and happy, knowing that I've set this incredible financial legacy in terms of the greatest financial product on the planet, which is whole life insurance. But when we're talking about leaving something behind,
right? Yeah.
We want that imprint. We want that mark on the world to be left to where people know that we were here. And so what I want to do, I'm going to leave the world in a better place. And one of the other things that started coming up last winter was the fact that I never liked working with women. It was an issue for me. And I think it had everything to do with, turning pro at 21, getting in this sorority called, at the time it was called the Futures Tour. And I feel like going out there without any experience in, without any experience, being an only child and not being around a group of girls, that I limited myself a little bit. And so I was always, not wanting to work with women. I worked best with men because, again, we go back to me being direct. Men are yes, no. It's black and white. There's no gray. There's no pink. There's no nothing.
Right. Yeah.
So I always felt it was better for me professionally to work with men. And I knew that I needed to do something. And so one of the things that started coming back to me was, you've never really been part of a women's organization. You've kind of poo-pooed it and turned your nose up at it. So maybe that is something that you should lean into.
Oh, wow.
And so
you have.
Yes, very, in a great way. One of my mentors there's a person on this planet that I consider one of my mentors. We've only Instagrammed together, but it's Stephen Pressfield. And what he advocates for, he has a line of personal development books, and also he writes fiction from like the theologian, like Rome, like pre-Roman into the world kind of things. Like Gates of Fire is huge. That one of the books that he wrote. But he has a line of personal development books, and he talks about resistance with a capital R. And whatever you resist persists.
Oh, I've heard this before.
So if you lean into what you don't really like,
right,
you'll experience a massive amount of personal development change.
Wow, how interesting.
And I think you'll get to another level. And certainly I have with starting a theme. And not just, having a luncheon once a month. We provide 4 hours of coaching every month. On Thursday from 2 to 4, on the third Thursday of every month from 2 to 4, we have a private group, nothing shared on social media. It's private, it's intimate. We went over the 12-week year. In January, we did a class on one word, how to have one word that you focus on for the rest of the year that keeps you on track.
What's the feedback you're getting? I mean, why aren't we just okay by ourselves? Why can't we all just live our happy little lives and not need other people? And why is this something we need? Why did I go to your function and everyone was just raving about how great this was?
I think, quite honestly, I believe that I make people take a very hard look at themselves. And some people will, some people feel safe with me. Mm-hmm. Some people, just like this last week, some people take it as a beatdown when I when they ask me my opinion, I will give you my opinion. I don't sugarcoat anything. And so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to strengthen women's resolve in the fact that they want to do great things. And Athene is an organization to where you can come and you have the support to do those great things. Whether it's your career, it's your life, it's your marriage, it's your children, whatever it is.
Hard decisions.
All of it.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to do, whatever you feel that you need to do that's hard, come to Athene, share that with us, and we will keep you accountable to that.
Talk about what you said on one of your podcast episodes about the crab in a bucket.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah. That was with Amy. So Amy House is our professional development coach. And Amy and I are very much alike. We're not really yin and yang. We're both very direct. And we're here.
I love how transparent you are on the podcast, by the way.
Thank you. We're here to support, but we're not here to say, oh, it's okay, darling. It's not okay. It's not okay for you to stay the same way, because we're all here on this planet for a purpose, and we need to be able to foster these relationships and to make every arena or every area that we're in, we need to make it better.
Yeah.
And so I believe that I've set that standard. And I've also recruited some great people. So Robbie Wennermark, who led the luncheon, she is a woman.
It felt very collaborative.
Yeah. So she is a woman that had a hell of a career in corporate retail, and now she is dealing with the aftermath of going through an accident that was not of her own fault. And now she's trying to basically put not only her professional life, but also her financial life back together. And I want to support her in every endeavor. And so what I have made sure of is that she is one of the leaders. She is right. She is part of the leadership of a thing.
I need another hour to talk to you, because I think so many more people could benefit from this kind of support. I mean, it's wonderful that you're doing it. And I don't know how you sleep at night, because you can't possibly sleep with everything you're doing, with all the great content you're putting out. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't it be great if, I think every woman or every person could benefit. We're wrapping up though, so I better have you reiterate all the places people can find you.
Yeah. The best thing to do is just Google me, Brandi Jo Newman. It's with an I. I'm on Instagram. Now I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Threads. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. And what's funny is that when I go into these platforms, there's a different vibe.
Yes,
and
there's
a different conversation to be had in each of these platforms.
True.
And so what I try to do is I try to stay on the main platforms to influence and to connect with as many people as I can.
Yeah. That's a very good mission, in my humble opinion.
Thanks.
And what's one thing that someone can do, the average person, today to support our community? What event or what one thing, other than following you, which we should do?
Oh, there is absolutely one thing that everyone can do every single solitary day that doesn't take any effort whatsoever. They can pick up a piece of trash when they see it.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
Thanks. Make the world a more beautiful place.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
don't trash it up.
I'm glad you said that, because I also want to say before we end, I watch you have to see your outfits. I love your style.
Thank you. Oh, my mother's gonna love that. She's gonna love that. She taught me how to dress.
Oh, yeah. Wow. She did well.
Thanks.
We gotta say goodbye.
All right. Well, Shannon, thank you so much. Yeah, this is good.
Next time.
All righty.
Tell Todd I did good.
You did great. You did amazing.
And he'll be back next time if you missed him.
Well, I am looking forward to meeting Todd someday.
Yeah. He's a cool cat.